po sa inyong lahat. Keep it here in the next hour as we bring you the day's latest stories. I'm Denise.
And I'm Lourd, Veyra, and just like that, we're welcoming another week. So let's start it right with a generous serving of Afternoon Delight.
It is Monday, a brand new week. Katulad ng sabi mo, Lourd, September 23 na ngayon. At nakalain mo yun, isang linggo na lang.
I like your color, partner.
Thank you. Medyo match
parang
naman
kulay
tayo.
lupa.
Grabe,
Sorry.
Grabe siya.
Earth tones.
Okay.
Earth tones. Paano ba tatagalogin yun? Tama. Hindi naman. Maganda.
Kung pinulot sa'yo.
Actually, lahat ng mga nakulay na ilagay sa'yo, swak pa rin.
Yan. Nice save.
Yes,
Okay.
nice save. Kung sa akin ilagay yan, para akong
Ano?
deboto.
Okay.
Konting maroon pa.
Okay.
Ayan.
Sige, ito ang highlight ng ating araw is our delight of the day. Ito, request ng ilang viewers natin. Sabi sa inyo, nagkakatotoo sashimi.
Meron ba nag-request sa viewer yan?
Meron.
Parang wala naman.
Meron.
May nag-request sa atin ng ribeye steak. Hindi pa rin
May
pinagbibigyan.
mashed potato pa nga nakalagay dun
Baka yung mashed potato lang ang ibigay doon. Delikado yung mga ganyan.
Pero,
Ikaw ba ay mahilig sa sashimi?
Mahilig ako
Tita
sa sashimi.
Denise.
Oo.
Okay. Obviously, Japanese ang sashimi. Pero alam mo, sa lahat ng mga coastal cultures, of course, may kanya-kanya tayo, well, iba-ibang ano nga lang, pero yung talagang aktual na hilaw, no? Tayo kasi lalagay pa natin sa suka yan para maluto ng konti. Pero may version ba tayo ng parang closest to sashimi? Parang wala ata.
Oo. Alam ko lang yung sinasabi mo, yung sa suka. Diba?
Pero sa totoo lang, kung sariwang-sariwa talaga ang isda, hindi mo kailangan ng refrigeration, hindi mo kailangan ng anong paraan na ilalagay mo pa sa vinegar or what not. Ano? Kasi yan mismo yung kailangan fresh talaga siya.
Oo.
So matindi ang demands talaga sa sashimi.
Tikman mo ba?
Yes.
Ang lineup natin, may salmon, tuna, tamago, which is egg. We have shrimp
May
and
shrimp,
crab sticks. Tapos ito, ano ba to? Cucumber.
Cucumber. Okay. So, maganda yung sinabi ng isang food critic or food historian. Sinabi niya na sa Amerika, mahirap paniwalaan pero tutuusin mo, fairly recent lang din. 80s lang nagkaroon talaga or tinanggap ng American culture ang sashimi, ang mga sushi. Well, Japanese, for that matter, kasi kailangan nila makipag-interact sa mga executives sa mga Japanese. So, napupunta rin. Pero naging status symbol na rin yung appreciation for Japanese cuisine. At ang ganda na sinabi niya, so, kung tutuusin mo, yung flavor spectrum daw talaga ng Japanese food ay talagang alien na alien sa Western palate kung tutuusin mo yung idea ng raw fish with soy sauce, tsaka yung wasabi. Diba? Kahit sa atin, medyo alien pa yung kombinasyon na yun. Pero yun, ang interesting lang at nag-evolve pa rin at may mga Japanese-inspired na fast food na maaring iba na ang preparation ng ganito. Tuna ka ba o
Salmon.
salmon? Appear tayo. Shake, tawag nila dyan. Bakit mas salmon ka?
Kasi medyo takot ako dun sa tuna.
Bakit ka takot sa tuna?
Certain reactions of the body.
Gets.
Oo.
Baka ito dapat huwag ka na rin. Doon ka na lang sa tamago.
Grabe ka.
Tsaka pick. Kung tutuusin mo, kung closeness to the source lang ang usapan dyan, mas fresh ang tuna. Kasi mas galing sa tubig natin yan. Wala namang salmon sa Philippine waters. It's cold water fish. So kung ako sa'yo, dito ka na lang.
Sige. Sige, papagbigyan na kita.
Anong sistema mo ba pag kumakain ka ng sashimi? Ikaw ba yung tipong binababad mo?
Ay, hindi. Tap lang ng konti.
Tap lang ng konti, tama yan. Pero nakakita rin ako ng mga lasing na hapon na wala nang pakialam na ginagana
Lagay na lang ng lagay.
Feeling ko hindi hapon yung mga turistang
Speaking of babad, ito, maganda-ganda kung mababad at makausap natin to, magbibigay sa atin ng storya.
Sino?
We have Ria Fernandez on the line right now. Pag-uusapan natin yung paglipat kay dating Bamban Mayor Alice Guo sa Pasig City Jail.
Pero bago yan, nakitaan daw ng suspected lung infection si Ms. Guo. And for the details, kausapin po natin ating News 5 correspondent, Ria Fernandez. Okay, Ria, ano na ba update sa confirmatory test sa dating mayor?
Lourd, sa interview natin sa abogado ni Alice Go dito sa Pasig City Jail na si Attorney Nicole Hamilla, unfortunately, hindi pa pala nakukunan ng saliva specimen ang dating alkalde ng Bamban Tarlac. No? So nakahold pa rin siya sa loob ng Pasig City Jail and may latest development. Ang latest development is may inilabas kanina lamang na kautusan ng Pasig RTC, Branch 167, na pinapahold in abeyance o hindi mo na pinatutuloy yung paglipat sana mula PNP Custodial Facility dito sa Pasig City Jail. Kaya lang, as we all know, kaninang umaga, 9:33 a.m. ang official time of turnover ng PNP sa BJMP kay Alice Go. Kaya sa mga sandaling ito, most especially ang PNP ay naghihintay ng clarification mula sa korte para malaman kung saan ba dapat i-commit muna si Alice Go. Ngayon, baka matanong nyo bakit biglang may ganong order ang korte, no? Nung weekend, after ngang magpiyansa sa Valenzuela Court si Alice Go para dun sa 2 counts of graft niya, siyempre pinalaya na siya. And ang pending warrant of arrest niya na lang noon ay yung sa Pasig RTC in relation naman sa kanyang qualified human trafficking case. So at that time, meron ding commitment order ang Pasig RTC na dapat ikulong si Alice Go dito nga sa Pasig City Jail Female Dormitory. So bilang isa sa mga legal remedies ng kampo ni Alice Go ay naghain sila ng urgent motion sa korte na manatili na lamang si Go sa PNP Custodial Facility dahil sa umano'y banta sa kanyang seguridad. Lourd, Denise?
Okay, so palinaw lang, kapag napatunayan na positibo sa, let's say, sa tuberculosis, ano yung magiging proseso?
Okay. Sa ngayon, i-set aside muna natin yung latest development doon sa court order na i-hold in abeyance muna yung kanyang paglipat dito sa Pasig City Jail, no? Kasi definitely nasa Pasig City Jail custody na siya. So just in case na magpositibo yung kanyang sputum test sa tuberculosis, ang malinaw is most likely kailangan i-treat muna siya doon, i-hold muna siya sa isolation facility kung saan kasama niya or makakasama niya yung 3 inmate na nagre-recover mula sa TB. Pero once na mag-negative naman yung kanyang sputum test, ay agad siyang ililipat doon sa tinatawag na cell number 3. Yung cell number 3, ang original capacity daw noon for inmates ay mga nasa siyam na PBL lang. Pero overpopulated na ang Pasig City Jail at yung cell number 3 from originally 9 ay as we speak, nasa 43 PBL daw ang nakakulong doon.
Okay, Ria, bukas naman ay may hearing ulit ang Senado. Ano naman ang plano ng kampo na ni Alice Go?
Hinihintay lang natin yung magiging direktiba ng korte, no? Tandaan natin na sa ngayon, 2 korte na yung, kumbaga, may jurisdiction kay Alice Go. Una yung Valenzuela RTC. Well, nag-bail na siya doon. So technically, naka-avail na siya ng temporary liberty para doon sa 2 counts of graft niya. Ngayon naman, itong Pasig RTC ay para doon sa kanyang qualified human trafficking. So yung BJMP, hinihintay nila kung anong magiging desisyon ng korte doon sa request ng Senado na makadalo muli sa pagdinig. So whatever the decision of the court, susundin naman daw nila.
At totoo ba na isa daw doon sa posibleng mga kasama ni Alice Go ay ang kasama rin doon sa kay Pastor Kibuloy?
Isa sa mga accused, no?
Yes.
Well, ang malinaw is dito rin sa Pasig City Jail nakapiit 'yon. Pero hindi tayo nakakuha ng impormasyon mula sa tagapagsalita ng BJMP kung sa cell number 3 rin siya nakapiit, no. Walang ganung mention kanina, no. So basically, most likely baka hindi sila magkasama sa iisang selda.
Okay. And siguro few minutes ago, kakapresent lang ng NBI, no, ng iba pang mga supposedly co-accused ni Alice Go at nag-surrender daw at nagkaroon ng presentasyon ng ang NBI. Ito nga, mamaya may mga pag-usapan natin yan, ibabalita natin yan. Pero anyway, Okay, paulit-ulit, Ria, kailan bang susunod na arraignment at pre-trial daw sa iba't ibang korte?
Okay, para dito sa Pasig RTC, ang itinakdang petsa para sa arraignment at pre-trial ay sa Biyernes na, September 27. Isinabay na rin doon ng korte yung pagdinig sa urgent motion ng kampo ni Alice Go para nga sana ay manatili siya sa PNP Custodial Facility. So, invited ng korte ang hindi lang ang PNP, hindi lang ang kampo ni dating Mayor Alice Go, pati ang BJMP.
Ria, again, ano ulit yung information na meron tayo sa 7 co-accused ulit ni Alice Go sa trafficking case na sumuko sa NBI? Saan sila dadalhin?
So far, ako personally, wala akong information pa doon, no? Kasi nakatutok tayo dito sa paglipat kay Alice Go sa Pasig City Jail in accordance or in fulfillment nung kanyang, or in compliance dun sa commitment order nga ng Pasig City Jail sa kanya, ay ng Pasig City Court.
Alright. Salamat sa information, Ria. Maraming salamat. So, yan po ang ating News Web correspondent, Ria Fernandez. Ito lang, singit ko lang yung mga pangalan, ano? At least sa latest report, ano? Si Zun Yuan President Jamie Lynn Santos Cruz. Okay, treasurer din ng kumpanya ay si Juan Miguel Alpas, Roderick Paul Bernardo Puhante, Hongshan President Chief Executive Officer Thelma Barogo Requiro, Hongshan Treasurer Rita Sapno Uyturalde at Rowena Evangelista ni Rachel Joan Malonzo Carrion. Okay, nag-surface daw sila supposedly, ang claim nila is to clear their names. At ilan sa mga nag-surrender daw are claiming that they do not personally know Go. At ang nag-ask lang daw sa kanila si Jeremy Santos, yung husband ng Chief of Staff ni Go, no? When she was still Bamban Mayor, para i-clear daw supposedly yung names nila. So abangan natin yan mamaya. Okay.
Definitely a story we will follow. But for now, let's see some stories on social media. Unahin natin on One News. Pag-asa says, expect longer nights.
Nako. Longer nights, ibig ba sabihin yan, mas malalamig na nights?
Teka, yan ba? Napapakita natin. Ayan.
Yan.
Oo.
Okay, supposedly dahil nag-tilt na naman ang Earth, so supposedly, ang dating sa atin mas mahahaba talaga. Mas madaling dumilim ang ano bang sunrise ng gantong oras? 5:45. Tapos sets at 5:53. Yung refraction supposedly sa atmosphere. Pero ngayon, yung sunset, pag nando ka sa Maynila, nakita mo na ba?
Ano?
Baduy na eh.
Bakit baduy?
Dahil doon sa mga reclaimed areas, so parang, sa bagay reclaimed din naman yung kinakatayuan ngayon. Pero reclaimed long time ago, pero ngayon parang sisirain nila.
Wala ning the feels.
Yung supposedly world-class nila sunset. Yan.
Ito, ang cost daw nito is the country is moving towards a winter solstice. So that starts around the 3rd week of December.
So, ready na ang mga lugaw.
Colder weather. Expect colder weather na nga daw as we are already transitioning from the southwest monsoon to the northeast monsoon. Kanina nga lamig na ako eh.
Ngayon pa nga lang, lamig na lamig. Ang gusto ko maranasan yung sa mga sa mga northern countries talaga na yung ilang araw hindi bumababa.
Yes.
Hindi bumababa yung araw, minsan hindi rin lumalabas yung araw.
Yun yung mga bumibili na sila ng artificial light.
Yes.
That mimics the sun.
Yes. At interesting yun na yung epekto talaga nun sa physiology natin.
Tsaka yung mental health talaga pinag-uusapan niya na kailangan daw pala talaga yung sinag, yung init coming from the sun.
May technique pala tungkol dyan at may kinalaman din yan more or less doon sa nakakuha nating lethargy kapag sumasakay tayo at nagkakaroon tayo ng jet lag. At may iniilawang kang bahagi ng iyong katawan pero hindi ko pwedeng sabihin on national TV.
Ito na lang.
I-google yun na lang yun.
Sige. Yan ang isusunod nating i-google at i-search. Pero ito, pag-usapan naman natin on Facebook, a teacher calls out the reinvention of the Muslim delicacy chicken pastil.
Yes. Na-feature na natin dati dito yan, partner.
Correct.
At ito isang rice dish. Pero kasi may isang restaurant daw sa Maynila na ang ginawa ay nire-invent yan pero ang ginamit ay pork.
Oo. Which goes against, what they practice
Yes.
as Muslims.
Chicken kasi dapat talaga.
Oo.
Pastel, ano? Pastil pala.
Ang nakalagay pa nga sa... Pero dito kasi, may makikita ka na ang picture nakasulat, spicy hamonado chicken pastel. Pero meron ding spicy pork hamonado chunks. So, doon ata, yun ang hindi ikinatuwa nung nag-post.
At ang issue naman kasi niya, kung hindi talaga mapipigilan, huwag tawagin daw na pastil.
Oo.
Kasi yung fundamental niyan, medyo hindi lang ito simpleng cultural appropriation, kundi pagtalikwas doon sa essence ng kultura nila. At mas haram nga itong pork. At di lang yun. Pag sa mga, kunyari, hindi mapigilan wag naman kaya mag-serve ng ganyang kalaking hiwa naman. Di ba?
Paki-chop-chop ng konti.
Oo, wala dangaling ganyan.
Oo.
Konting naman.
Finesse.
Konting finesse. Parang mga Anyway, naintindihan natin ang pinanggagalingan na nag-post dito. At mukhang teacher siya sa UP, no? Sa subject code pa lamang, no? So, ayun. Paglabag ito, sinasabi sa turo ng Islamic faith. Ayan. Kung gusto niyo makatikim ng authentic na pastil, magpunta po kayo sa Quiapo, sa Maynila. Marami po ang nag-serve doon. At sana naman, mapaisip kung sino man ang gumawa nito na kung hindi mapigilan talaga na i-co-opt, huwag tawaging pastil siguro.
Oo. Yun na lang. Actually, yun din naman yung sinabi nung nag-post. Yung presentation ng pagkain, gaya daw sa binalot, wala naman daw nga problema. It's just really the factor of the pork and it's still being called pastil.
Correct.
All right, we move on to our next story on the Philippine Star via One News. Starting January 2025, PhilHealth will be covering fees for crutches, walkers, wheelchairs, and prescription glasses, according to Congressman Erwin Tulfo. Magandang balita yan para sa ating mga kababayan. Sana ba ako? Ayan.
Kasi talaga minsan luging-lugi ka pag inisip mo sa PhilHealth, yung ang tagal-tagal mong naghuhulog, tapos malalaman mo yung karamdaman mo hindi pala covered, at ito lang pala yung matatanggap mo, yung babayaran nila. Kaya maraming naiinis.
Oo. Ito, basahin natin yung ilang komento ng ating mga netizens. Sabi dito ni Raim Onaskel, pera din naman ng mga Pilipino yan, kaya dapat lang, sabi.
Dapat lang, kasi ang pinaka-nakakainis sa lahat, yung ibabalik pa ng PhilHealth sa kaban ng gobyerno at proud na proud pa sila na, we have excess funds. Di ba?
Ito, sabi naman ni Wilbert Alberto, ang laki ng unused funds ng PhilHealth. Kaya dapat ipamigay sa tao ang tunay na benepisyo.
Correct.
Kailangan lang ng tunay na malasakit.
Correct. May sistema dyan. At hindi lang yun, wag dapat gamitin sa kung ng investment kasi hindi naman ginawa para sa ganyan ng PhilHealth. At ito nga yung isa sa mga panukala supposedly ng board na para mas makapag-raise pa ng mas maraming pondo ay ipang-invest at paikutin supposedly yung pera. Hindi naman ganyan para sa health yan ng mga kababayan natin. So, may batas na tayo pero yung praxis, yung application leaves so much more to be desired.
Now we desire the story. We want to talk about this on Reuters' latest stories on the U.S. presidential campaign. First headline, Harris gaining ground on Trump TV network poll show.
I'm sure, hindi Fox News ba yan? Hindi Fox News.
Hindi.
Oo.
Ano bang naglabas nito? NBC nga ba? May sa Reuters nga nakasulat, But this was after...
CBS News poll.
CBS. This was after the first and apparently looking like the only debate that Harris and Trump will have before the elections.
Oo. Medyo... 5 percentage points. So, NBC News poll at CBS din. Okay. So, Harris leading Trump by 4%, sabi ng CBS. 5% naman sa NBC. At syempre, sasabihin ni Trump, all these all these news organizations, all these stations are against me.
Ayan, may lumalabas tayo na na tweet coming from, pakita natin, from Kamala Harris. Ay, may lumabas kanina na parang I accept a second debate.
Ayaw na ni Trump eh. Too late for that na raw.
Correct.
Style.
So another
At
headline.
sasabihin niya, it's 3 persons against 1. Parang ano, nung fina-fact check siya, sinasabi niya, kakampi daw ni Kamala yung
The panel.
o yung mga moderators. Anyway, mamaya may mga kausap tayong PhilAm. At pag-usapan natin yung US election sa 42 days to go na lang ba?
Lapit na talaga.
Interesting talaga ito. No? At interesting kasi ito ba ay na-factor in na ba rito yung sinabi ni Trump na Haitian immigrants eating dogs?
Oo nga
O kung na-factor in, kung di pa na-factor in, posible ba mas mababa pa yung susunod
Pero
polling?
ang syempre nababalitaan natin is parang ganyan nga yung nagiging trend, no? Even kasi neck to neck bago yung debate. Pero parang sinasabi nga na ngayon according to the polls na bumababa at nakita na rin naman natin again 5% sa yun percentage
5%
points.
sa NBC, 4% sa CBS.
Ayan, so another
Fox,
headline.
yeah, sa Fox News.
Yes, as well. Related pa din dito. Trump says he will never run again if he loses in November.
Naniniwala ka dyan?
Sabi niya, that will be it. So last niya na daw yon, if ever. Now finally, still on Reuters, Donald Trump says, Jews will be partly to blame if he loses the election.
Okay. Ang ganda, no? Ino-offend niya lahat ng possible na mga...
Ng mga grupo, ano? Lahat.
So, yung mga Haitian immigrants, yung mga Latinos, of course, sinabi niya dati, they're bringing in crime, they're bringing in rapists. At sino pa ba? Okay, so, Jews...
Ito mismo yung sinabi ni Trump. If I don't win this election and the Jewish people would really have a lot to do with it, if that happens, because if 40%, I mean 60% of the people are voting for the enemy, Israel, in my opinion, will cease to exist within 2 years.
Hanep, Kasi proud siya na he's an ally of Netanyahu. At dahil sa kanya, no, yung US Embassy ay nirelocate sa Jerusalem na mismo. Point of pride niya yun. At alam mo, sino pang isang gustong manalo si Trump? Ang Russia. Pero anyway, pero medyo delikado to kung, well, in theory, ang mga Jewish demographic naman usually tended to vote Democrat, liberal.
Yes,
ano? At pero sinasabi naman ni Trump, ang son-in-law niya, si Jared Kushner daw, is Jewish. Kaya nga in-appoint niya for Middle East Affairs.
Tapos may banat siyang ganon.
Oo, medyo weird lang kasi parang baka may observation ng maraming na medyo nagdi-disintegrate na si Trump.
Actually, also considering bigyan natin example, no? Sa Pennsylvania, which is considered a crucial battleground, there are over 400,000 Jewish people. Sabi nila, in a small shift like that, in a Jewish votes, pwedeng dun magkatalo come the voting or the elections rather in November.
You'll never know. Tingnan natin. 42 days to go, marami pang pwedeng mangyayari. Ano naman kayang lalabas sa bunganga ni Trump? Okay, binabati po natin lahat ng nanonood ng Afternoon Delight via live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. At sa tatay ko na mapapanood ito mamayang 11 p.m. Tay. Okay? Abangan po natin mga kapatid. Binabati po natin. Sino ba itong mga...
Silip din ako, ha?
Unahin ko na si Alex Fuentes. Kung nakikinig ka ngayon, Alex Fuentes, hello sa'yo. At kung nanonood pala si Richard Hidarian, thank you, bro. Hope to talk to you again. At sino pa dyan? Tita Denise.
Ito, si Ralph Domingo. Alam mo, avid viewer natin to, ha? Nakalagay, have you tried Gotong Batangas?
Ay, ito. Batanggenya. Yes, ako. Gotong Batangas.
Sabi niya, not the actual goto. Ano yun?
Not the actual goto. Ano ibig sabihin?
Ay, ito, teka lang. Si Marinel Canayong Butor. Pa-shoutout po. Hello, Marinel.
Hello, Marinel. Sabi ni, let there be light. PhilHealth excess money is a result of inefficient use of the budget. Dapat tanggalin yung mga heads ng PhilHealth. Tama ka dyan. MV, kilala nyo si Nika, hanapin nyo. Blind siya, nasa position siya. Alex Manansala, happy Monday. Sino pa? Reynaldo Santos. O pag na-boring yan, mag-autograph lang yan ng mga kasama niya at mantakal lang yan. Malamang, bastonera siguro position niya. Si Alice Go ba binabanggit niya? O si Mike Policarpio, ang kaibigan po natin, watching
sabi?
from Canada. Oo. Sa Canada, si Tito Mike Policarpio, ikaw ba'y nagbabakasyon lang dyan, Tito Mike? Or for good ka na ba dyan? Ito ay ang kaibigan natin from the Population Commission of the Philippines, POPCOM. Ayan. So kung may mga kailangan ka mga...
Tutuloy mo ba?
mga datos sa may kinalaman,
Okay.
let's say, sa reproductive health, etc., etc., or population, etc., etc., si Tito Mike Policarpio, binabati ka namin.
Hello.
Ano ka nakalusot dyan, Mike? Medyo naghihigpit ng mga immigrants dyan, ha? Okay, time out muna. Marami pa akong kwento sa inyo. Magbabalik po ang Afternoon Delight. Alright, nagbabalik po ang Afternoon Delight dito po sa One News. Lourd Veyra po, ang inyong lingkod.
At ako naman po, si Denise. Thanks for staying with us. Now, here's a quick rundown of some stories on One News. Dismissed Banban Tarlac Mayor Alice Go has been transferred to the Pasig City Jail female dormitory. However, the Pasig City RTC issued an order to hold the transfer of Go after a request from her camp to stay under PNP custody. Prior to this, authorities said a suspected infection was detected in her left lung. Guo will undergo a confirmatory test and has been placed in an isolation room. Meantime, 7 of her alleged cohorts in her trafficking case have surrendered to the NBI. Transport groups Manibela and Piston are holding a nationwide strike to once again protest the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. But Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista pointed out that majority of PUVs backs the program with more than 83% of them already consolidated. The Philippines will deploy Coast Guard and naval vessels to Escoda Shoal. This comes more than a week after the country withdrew BRP Teresa Magbanwa from the area. The government, however, did not disclose specific details about the ships involved. President Bongbong Marcos has signed into law the Magna Carta of Filipino Seafarers. Republic Act 12021 guarantees equal opportunities in the maritime industry and ensures access to education, training, and development for all seafarers.
All right, over in the United States, where the election is happening in about 42 days or so, there's a new finding on how presidential aspirants Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are approaching major issues about the economy. And here's a story from the Associated Press.
There's a big new finding in the new AP NORC Center for Public Affairs poll. Neither candidate has a decisive edge on the economy. About 4 in 10 say Donald Trump would be better on the economy, and about 4 in 10 say Kamala Harris would be better on the economy. Both candidates approach this issue differently. Donald Trump sees the economy as growing from tax cuts for businesses and the wealthy in order to generate more investment. He also sees tariffs as key for increasing manufacturing jobs in the United States. By contrast, Vice President Harris wants to make the middle class a priority. She wants to see higher taxes on companies and the wealthy in order to pay for tax breaks and programs targeting the middle class. In many cases, we see a spread on the issues in terms of which candidate might do better. Most U.S. adults looked at Trump and said he would be better on immigration, but they looked at Harris and said she would do better on issues like healthcare, guns, abortion, and climate change. What all of this tells us in the bigger sense is that the things voters care about actually cross over into how they think about the candidates, how they process what the candidates are saying. When we talked to the respondents of the survey, so many of them said one important thing, that they understand it's a major decision for the country this year. They understand the stakes in November's election, and they're prepared to accept them.
All right. Now, sharing her insights with us today is Genevieve Villafranca Jopanta, the co-chairperson of Filipino Americans for Harris Walls 2024. She is also a government and international affairs consultant. Thanks for joining us live this afternoon, Genevieve, Lourd, and Denise.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's an
I
honor.
love the outfit.
Thank
Is that
you.
here, or did you bring that with you from San Francisco?
It's actually custom. My tita made this.
Oh, wow.
Not bad. All right, so you've been with the, of course, Democratic campaign.
Yes.
And the San Francisco's tended to traditionally vote, liberal. Well, it's interesting because our previous interview last week, we had a Filipino Republican as an interview subject. It's very interesting. He's from Kentucky.
Right.
Okay, so so many conflicting data. Are there more Pinoys voting for Kamala or more Pinoys voting for Trump?
I would say that there's a lot of increased support for Kamala, especially since she has been the presidential nominee and since Tim Walz has been the nominee as well. We're seeing a lot of people cross over. Currently, the polls, I just checked, basically supporting Kamala at 49%, where Trump is at 45%, where most of the battleground states are supporting her. And that's out of 7 of the battleground states. 2 of them, Georgia and Nevada, just flipped, over just 0.2 to 3 points in her favor in the last 2 weeks. So you're seeing a shift in support there. I think in Filipinos, I also see that there are Republicans for Harris. So we have Republicans reaching out to the Filipino American Harris Walz campaign, wanting to support because they don't feel that Trump represents their values. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Okay, Genevieve, I want to
Sure.
ask you, because you were talking about just the flip and the increase in percentage for Kamala Harris. Why do you think that shift happened? What caused it? What triggered it? And if somebody were to ask you why they should vote for Kamala, what would your answer be?
Well, I think it's just foundational basics, right? We're interviewing people for a job. So if you were to sit there and you're hiring people for a job and you tell them this is the job description, and then you have a candidate that says, this is my background, my history, I've done this, this, and this. Should you choose me, I'm going to do accomplish these things for you and basically expand your mission. And then you have another candidate that basically says, all of those other candidates that you interviewed, I'm just better than them. They say, well, what are your qualifications? Well, all my friends and, people around me, they say I'm the best. So you have someone that actually has done the job and actually have a plan. And then you have somebody who's just using, I don't know, you're not being interviewed for a circus. You're being interviewed for the job. One of the greatest jobs in not just the country, but the whole universe. The universe globally looked to the United States as, the top, country to lean on. So in my opinion, that's the difference.
I just want to touch on that because Kamala, during the debate, she had all these plans laid out.
Sure.
And then when Trump was asked for it or asked about it, he
Right.
said he has a concept of a plan because he's not president yet. What's your take on that?
Well, he is not president yet, but he has been president before, and he knows he's been running for president for a long time. So why does he not have a plan yet, right? If you know that you're going to be running or you're going to be applying for the job for 4 years or 8 years and you've done the job, why don't you have plans? That's just, again, foundational basics, not even on a presidential level.
Is this a fun thing to talk about politics over, let's say, Noche Buena,
Yes.
traditional Filipino gatherings?
Yes.
When politics comes up as a subject, how divisive is this? Or is it like a drinking game?
I think it depends on the families, right? I'm very lucky to be part of a family that share the same values as I. It wasn't always like that. My parents actually were Republicans when they first immigrated to the Philippines. But I think that's because out of comfort or out of familiarity. So the people that they were surrounded by were Republicans.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until it came to policies or issues where they needed help and they saw that the Democrats, who represent them, actually help resolve their issues, and they started to see that their values are in line with theirs, then they went ahead and switched over. So I think that, I'm lucky in that sense. We actually make it a discussion. We actually make it like a party or make it fun when it comes to elections. I do a voter guide. My friends and family will reach out to me like, hey, where's your voter guide? We have ballot filling out parties because we need to educate ourselves of what we're actually making decisions for. It's not just a one issue, topic or, a candidate. There's not one candidate is going to check off all the boxes, but which candidate best represents you for everything, right? Not just one issue. And I think that's the difference here.
Can you give me an insight into the typical psychology? Well, if we, at least just attempt the psychology of a Filipino Republican. Let's say when Trump says, Haitian immigrants are eating dogs. Well, the Azucena lovers in us are triggered. We can feel attacked, but you can easily replace Haitian with all possible immigrants categories. So, what's with? I can understand older Filipinos going Republican because of certain conservative traditional values, but younger Pinoy Republicans.
I'm not quite sure. What I observe is Trump supporters will just be Trump supporters, if that makes sense. They're very loyal to him. And so even my observation after the last debate, I was looking at social media posts and online boards, and people think he did amazing. They really think they did amazing. So I think when you look at somebody, you support them, you have this bias, right? I call it blind loyalty. So when you're loyal to that person, you're blind to all of their faults. You just want to support that person because for whatever reason, they support what is important to you, whether that's one issue or it's the way that he postures himself and what you think a leader should carry himself or do. I'm unsure as to.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's called a cult. That's cultish behavior. Sorry, I just said.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Before she asks anything,
Sure.
Are you a gun owner?
I am not a gun owner, but I do have a hunting license. And not that I hunt, but I did that on purpose in the sense of, the work that I do is predominantly male-driven. So I did it as a woman of color to not be left out because they would say, Genevieve, you don't know how to, you don't know how to smoke cigars. You don't know how to play golf. You don't know how to drink whiskey. So you can't go to these meetings. And so for me to be at the table, I have to be in those spaces so that way I'm not left out. So that it was a strategy.
Okay, speaking of strategies, actually there was from a political strategist view, they're suggesting that many American voters are now tuning out of the campaign altogether. Just your reaction?
I don't think people are tuning out. I think people are actually tuning in. There's many people who have reached out to me who have not been political at all that want to be part of the election, right? Philams for Harris Waltz, we were at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We had over 100 people sign up after our kickoff on July 30th to participate. They're going to Chicago on their own time and dime to be part of something that they've never been part of before. Like that is the holy grail of being Democrat, is to go all the way to the Democratic National Convention. And so you have people who have never been political before that want to get involved, they want to donate, they want to host fundraisers, they want to learn how to knock on doors and do voter registration, whatever they can, because this is very important to them. They don't want to go back.
How important is this, would you say, this coming elections compared to the past ones? And how is this gonna affect the Filipino community back in the States?
They're saying that it's the most important election in our lifetime. Do you agree with that observation?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't want another last 4 years. I think that it was spewed with the rhetoric of hate, and I think we need to be in a position, and we need a leader that doesn't tolerate hate and doesn't promote hate, right? We saw a lot of that through the pandemic and how it was mishandled and how it was blamed on, the Asian people, and then how that broke out into, hate, right? I'm a basically product of this. I'm a survivor of that violence. I was robbed at gunpoint, and you hear about violence happening, and people just say, "Oh, that happens." You look at mass shootings, right? There's
another one recently.
So far, this country has had 432 mass shootings, and that is just you shouldn't just tolerate that. Like, oh, that's just everyday life. My niece is a teacher, a brand new teacher, just graduated, and I asked her, "Hey, do you have to do active shooter training?" Teachers should not have to do that, and parents should not be scared to drop their kids off at school. Mm-hmm. That should not be a fact of life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is there any sort of paranoia or any fear on the part of the Democrats? Like, let's say what happened during Obama was you had the backlash of you had the Tea Party, like something like the Tea Party, expanding after Obama as a reaction, Yeah. How do you see something like this similar happening? Should Kamala win?
Thank you. That typically is a natural reaction to any time a party loses, right? Because they lost, then they revamp their party to make sure that they win the next time. So that typically happens whether it's a presidential campaign or a local or federal campaign. And so, and I think because his followers or supporters really thought that they won, right? And it's only recently that he admitted that he did lose. That of course they're going to do whatever they can to hire the leader that they think that best represents them and best executes the policies, protections, or non-protections of people outside of themselves. Mm-hmm. You want a leader that represents everybody, not just a small portion of the population,
but
right?
I think going to the mind of those people, they think that you're going to replace us, referring to old white American males, whose definition of MAGA, the MAGA crowd, the typical white male macho with his guns. Mm-hmm. The backlash, is it true that they say that a Filipino is basically liberal until he or she gets his citizenship, and then becomes conservative and hates immigrants all of a sudden?
I haven't heard of that. I haven't seen data like that, but I think that, I've seen, I think I question and I sometimes wonder how Filipinos who are immigrants, right, and then get, like you said, get their citizenship and then choose a way that is not immigrant friendly, mm-hmm. right? Choose a way or choose a candidate that would deport people that was someone just like you. That was you.
Yeah.
So now you're a citizen and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. It's basically a joke. Okay. So tell us about your work as a government and international affairs consultant and your work for nonprofit organizations and the Filipino Young Leaders Program, which you are head of.
Thank you. I did want to mention, part of the work that I do is in response to what the current administration in the United States has done in terms of pumping $500 million to the Philippines through the CHIPS Act, basically expanding the semiconductor industry here. So what I currently do as a government affairs and international affairs consultant is I work with organizations like the Apple DF Foundation that work towards workforce development around electric mobility. So, Apple was part of the Biden trade mission earlier this year with Secretary Raimondo. And they established an MOU with the Asian Development Bank to basically establish a center of excellence to be able to train and skill and upskill current technicians around e-mobility infrastructure, because that's going to be the future. So let's prepare our current workforce and develop them so that way we're able to expand the workforce, but also be ready for what's to come, right? And part of that, everything that we use, smartphones and cell phones and computers, all have a brain in that. That's a chip, and that's through the semiconductor business. Mm-hmm. And so we need to help expand our current operators here in the Philippines So that way we could have the manufacturing and the design in our own backyard and not just be basically outsourced from other countries. We have so many talented people here in the country, but I think we need to do better in terms of posturing ourselves as leaders and not just keeping our head down and doing the work.
Is that same stuff that they use for Jewish space lasers, right?
Everything.
Okay.
I thought that was a real thing.
I'm sorry.
They probably can't do it.
They probably can't do it, but okay. So, thank you very much. So many things to discuss, but it's a pleasure having you over. Genevieve Villafranca, Joe Panda, the chair of Filipino Americans for Harris Waltz 2024. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Would you like to greet some of your kababayan in Ilonggo?
Mayong hapon sa inyo tanan mga Ilonggo. So nice to see you, and I'm very proud Ilongga. Thank you, Ged.
All right.
Thanks again for joining us. Now, you're still watching Afternoon Delight on One News. Time for another breather. We'll be right back. And we're back. You're watching Afternoon Delight. Ako po si Denise.
At ako naman po si Lourd de Veyra.
Mundo naman tayo ng sports. Tuloy-tuloy ang bakbakan sa UAAP Season 87 Men's Basketball. Here's the wrap from Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho.
Nagiging totoo na ang katagang bilog ang bola sa UAAP Season 87. Painit na rin kasi ng painit ang mga eksena sa basketball tournament.
Padrigal de Hezi, the drive, step back, money!
Unang natunghayan yan sa redemption match ng UST Growling Tigers laban sa NU Bulldogs. Mapapag-go Azteca talaga dahil mula sa pagkatalo kontra Adamson Soaring Falcons, nakabawi ang Growling Tigers last Saturday at the Big Dome para makuha ang ikatlo nilang panalo sa unang round ng eliminations. Sa last quarter, tied ang dalawang teams with a minute left nang tumira si Fortsky Padrigao sa 29-second mark.
Padrigal de Hezi, the drive, step back, money!
Sinubukan ng Bulldogs na ibalik ang tabla pero naiuwi pa rin ng UST ang panalo. Ang final score, 67-64. Player of the game ang isa sa mga seniors ng team na si Christian Manaytay with 14 points and 5 rebounds. And finally, after 3 straight defeats, nakapag-uwi na rin ng panalo ang Ateneo Blue Eagles.
Espinosa with 9 to shoot. Gamber open again. Got it!
Ito ay matapos nilang bawian ng Adamson Soaring Falcons 60-51. Naging pabor ang mga naunang quarter sa panig ng Ateneo. Ngunit bandang fourth quarter, bumaba sa 3 puntos ang lamang ng Katipunan squad. Sa huli, nanaig pa rin ang composure ng Blue Eagles at nakuha ang panalo. Isa sa mga nanguna ang player of the game na si Christian Porter, who finished with 8 points and 10 rebounds. Meanwhile, another squad from Katipunan claimed their victory.
Of UP, pretty hyped with that play. And then the fast break to Torres.
Hindi na kasi pinagbigyan ng UP Fighting Maroons ang FEU Tamaraws from start to finish, marking their 4th straight win, 69-58. Quentin Meliora Brown took the charge and was the player of the game after finishing with a double-double of 11 points and 13 rebounds. At mas umiinit pa ang mga kaganapan sa UAAP. Pinatikim ng UE Red Warriors ang defending champions na De La Salle Green Archers ng una nilang talo. Sa huling quarter, lumiit ang lamang ng Red Warriors by 2 points. Ngunit tinapos ni John Abate ang laban after 2 successful free throws, ending the game with a 75-71 win.
Can he put the defending champs away? John Abate with a free throw of his life. Gets it!
Siya rin ang player of the game after finishing with 20 points and 5 rebounds. Maghaharap naman ng DLSU kontra FEU at Adamson kontra NU this Wednesday, September 25 inside the Big Dome. Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
We have the biggest crowds. Siyempre, hindi pwedeng mawala ito. Oras na para sa I Saw the Signs. Anong edition tayo ngayon, Tita D? We have the best crowds, the biggest crowds. Alright, ito yung I Saw the Signs Cited sa Kalsada Edition. Unang-una ito, Tita Denise?
Ah,
Okay, this is from the Akbayan Party Facebook page. Nagpaskil ang grupo ng wanted leaflets ni Attorney Harry Roque na ngayon ay pinaghanap ng police dahil meron ng detention order from the House Squad Committee. At sabi naman ni Attorney Roque sa pagpaskil ay cheap political stunt.
tignan mo naman ang nakasulat dun sa pinaskill sa isang poste.
Ano nga ba yung mga nakasulat? Okay,
Yan.
sabi wanted. Hindi. Ang mas malupit kasi yung juxtaposition eh.
Oo.
Yung nasa taas, pakibasa Tita Denise.
Ano ba yan? Ano yung nasa taas? Sip-sip, pozo negro.
Malabanan.
Malabanan.
Pwede namang wanted tubero.
Ano sabi ni Roque? Cheap political
Cheap
stunt.
political stunt. Ano pa yung mga pwedeng i-juxtapose?
Pozo negro.
Oo.
Okay.
Alam ba, meron bang wanted candidates for Supra Barangay? Ito naman, social, umamin ka. Ikaw nagsulat nito, no?
Actually,
Ikaw nagsulat niyan.
bawal umihi here.
You know naman, it's so bawal.
Just in case magdalawang isip ka, at least yan ang sagot sa'yo kagad. No?
Actually, bawal umihi here.
Okay, confirmed.
Oh. Pero may actually pa talaga, no? At may
Actually,
ellipsis pa
hindi
talaga.
kaya nga pagka nagdalawang isip ka, tapos iisipin mo, yan na yung sagot kagad sa'yo.
Correct. Pero ang lagi kong argument dyan, nakailang ihi na ang kailangan mangyari para ilagay nila yan.
Oh.
Di ba? Kasi sa 2 beses, okay lang palalampasin mo. Pero ilang ihi ang kailangan mangyayari para maglagay ka ng ganyang puso. Ihi lang yan.
Oh.
Hindi pa yung
Nako,
mga bawal.
Nako! Ano ba
Okay,
yan?
third and last photo. Seen sa C5 bagong ilog ng isang netizen. Message from a certain Eli San Fernando that says, ingat po sa biyahe, tatakbo kasi ako sa eleksyon. Wala kasing premature campaigning sa Pilipinas. Aba, statement. Sino kaya si Eli, no?
Eli San Fernando?
Kilala mo siya?
Hindi.
Mamen ka. Dinate ka ba dati niyan?
Hindi. Siguro kung dinate ako dati niyan, baka yung katulad sa EDSA na nakapaskil, yung pang-anniversary. Alam mo yun?
Para siyang greeting ng anniversary pero parang may apology at the same time.
Nako. Okay, if you've seen those kinds of signs, send them to us at afternoondelighton@gmail.com.
Siguro siya may-ari ng space na yun kasi, di ba, nothing message yun eh. Diba?
Ingat lang.
Dapat continuation.
Oo.
Bawal umihid doon o dito, di ba?
Actually, okay.
Pero sabihin na natin, ibang ano rin, hindi lang ihi, di ba? Alright.
Namang ganun. Pero ito nga, that will do it for us this Monday, September 23rd. Bago pa mapunta sa ibang usapan, thank you for watching Afternoon Delight. I'm Denise Tan.
Join us again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Ako po si Lourd de Veyra, Reynaldo Santos, at kay Francis Pascual, Alex Manansala. At sa lahat po na nanonood ngayon, mabuhay po kayo. Have a delightful afternoon.